Hey, converted man here. Oh, yes, red pen logic. Of course, by logic, he means the opposite because he doesn't appear to do logic at all that I've seen. Not really sure what the red pen has anything to do with it. I guess because that's what you mark, like when something is wrong, you mark it with a red pen. Anyways, so it got this video where atheist tries refuting the first commandment, which is just nothing but a straw man because it's not an actual atheist. It's just him pretending to be an atheist, talking to himself. And like the atheist and the theist are just him, and like he couldn't find an example of this. Like, why not get an actual atheist? Like, hey, there's plenty of atheists out there, but like, do you want to try to refute the first commandment, or like, do you have questions about it, or something? No, I'm just gonna make a straw man because that's easier. I don't really care about the first commandment or any of the 613 commandments that there are. There's two sets of 10 commandments, but of course there's 613 in total. But whatever, who cares? It doesn't matter. I don't care what they are. But the first one is pretty stupid, and uh, don't worship any other god but this God. And it's like, oh, so there's other gods. Well, yeah, there are other gods, but you're not supposed to worship them. But those gods aren't actually real. They're thought to be gods, but God didn't bother to say, okay, look, this is going to be the commandment. There are gods that people believe are gods, but those gods aren't really God. Only I'm God, and I'm the real God, and all the other gods are fake gods, and don't worship them. But why? Why is that first? Why is that the most important command? It is pretty narcissistic, don't worship those other gods, because the guy says in the video that worshiping the wrong thing can lead to bad consequences. Oh, really? Yes. What kind of bad consequences might that be? I mean, it seems to me that your God, uh, you know, worshiping him, I don't know. I mean, here's the thing that I found. Um, oh, where am I? Did where? There I am. Okay, couldn't find myself. Okay, so listing all the different people that God has killed and how many and which books, and and so there's this whole thing, and it's got this cool little generator here. You can click on it, and like it will have different ways that God killed people. So I don't know, seems like worshiping your God also leads to results that are bad for other people. And you could say, well, those people did bad stuff, but is killing them really the only thing that God could come up with? I mean, just seems to me like it's God and it could come up with something better. But, Anyways, as far as there being other gods or there's more than one, like there's this thing, Genesis is like, let us make man in our image after our likeness. So like, what's that about? Is that one God, or like, I guess they might say that's the Trinity or something. Yeah, I don't know. So there's like I said, there's 613 commands, and yeah. So, and pretty much the punishment for not following all of them is death by stoning. So, know there's a God. Well, okay, and then not have any other gods. So the first one's actually to know that there's a God. Pretty sure that's pretty important. Because if you didn't know that, I mean, that's got to be a rule. So okay, and then just to rephrase that, just to make sure that you are on track. There's another commandment about knowing that God is the one. Like, just to make sure, like, we've got to repeat the same commandment. And then love him. That's a command. Because, like, you should just be ordered to love things. But also to fear him, to sanctify his name, because, again, his name is really important. You know, don't profane his name. Can't say bad stuff about his name. And then worship him, because of course he you have to do that. And don't destroy the holy objects, although what those are, who knows? I don't know. Listen to the true prophet, whoever that is. I mean, I don't know who that is. Do you know who the true prophet is? I mean, but you're not supposed to test the prophet. So how do you know that it's the true prophet if you're not able to test the prophet? It just seems to me that that's a problem here. Um, but anyways, emulate the ways of God. So kill lots of people. I guess that's why you're supposed to kill people that don't obey the commandments. I guess. Uh, you know, then just be around people that also worship God. Don't be around people that don't this particular God. So it's just disassociate from anyone else that doesn't worship him. It's just be with people that worship him. But love your neighbor as yourself, even though your neighbor might not love God or know God or believe in God. But don't be with him or her if they don't worship God. Like, don't hang out with them, but also love them as you do yourself. But if they do convert, love them. But not don't hate your brother, which is your brother's like anyone that believes in God with you. That's your brother. Now, the people that your neighbor might not be your brother. I guess you're supposed to love them, but it doesn't say, so who knows. But then reprove them when necessary. So like when they step out of line, tell them don't do that, but don't do it in a way that embarrasses them. Uh, and make sure not to oppress the weak, unless of course the weak are people that aren't believers, because who really cares? Don't slander them. Don't say things that aren't true about them. Also, if they do something bad to you, don't take revenge, even though it's okay to kill them in certain cases, but that's not revenge. But anyways, don't bear a grudge. And then, of course, teach the Torah to your children. So make sure they know about the Bible, so that you can continue the propaganda year after year, generation after generation. That's really important. I don't know. I think that would be higher on the list, but oh well, whatever. But then the elders, respect them because they're old. Don't worship the idols. Okay, why would you have idols? Like, well, but don't turn. Anyways. And then let fringes on your clothes remind you to have pure conduct. What? Well, okay, whatever. But don't blaspheme or curse the judge. But like, what if the judge is whatever? Don't worship idols. We already said that though. You said not to do that. So I mean, wasn't that already? Don't bow down to idols. I mean, wouldn't that be worshiping? Don't make an idols, but you just don't cast an image. Wait, what does that mean? Don't make gods of silver or gold. But I mean, wouldn't that be covered under not making an idol? Don't turn to idolatry. Wouldn't that also be under not worshiping things that are okay, whatever? To destroy a city that's turned to idol worship. Yeah, that's important. Be sure to destroy a city that has turned to idol worship. But as you do so, make sure that you're loving your brother and your neighbor as yourself. Just because they're I guess you get the people out of the city first, and then you destroy their city. And then how you know that it's turned to idol worship? Like, how would you determine that? Like, how many people in the city have to be worshiping idols for this to count as the whole city? Like, what if it's like a lot of people? Like, what if it's half? Do you destroy half the city, but don't rebuild the city? Now, what if somebody else rebuilds the city? What does it mean to rebuild the city, anyways? Like, if you destroy the entire city, right? But then a new city is built on the same location, does that count as rebuilding it? Or is it a new city now? What if you build like farmland on where that city was? Is that okay? Like, as long as it's not a city? What really counts as a city? But anyways, don't retain benefits from the city, but it's destroyed, so I'm not really sure how you could, anyways. But also, uh, uh, don't get people to idol worship. Not to missionize, whatever that means. I don't know. I'd have to look that up. I don't really care. But not to love, to not to love the missionaries. Wait, what? But don't stop hating him, but not to save him, or to speak in his defense, or refrain from incriminating him, and not to prophesize in idolatry. Man, it's a lot of rules about idolatry. I don't know. Just me, I think that could be summed up like, just don't do anything with idols. If it's just me though. But also ignore the false prophet, which you can't test to see if he's the true prophet, because of course you can't test the prophet. So how do you know which one's the real prophet? But anyways, don't prophesize falsely in God's name. That's really important. I don't know. It just seems like a lot of this is redundant and repeating. Don't fear killing a false prophet, which you can't identify because, again, you can't test the prophet. But don't worry about killing him, even though you're supposed to love your brother as yourself. But I guess they're not your brother because they worship a false prophet, and you should probably destroy their city. Never swear on the name of an idol. Don't. Why? Because the idol thing's really bad. Don't do that. Yeah, these are all really important commandments laid out to us by the creator of the entire universe. So he really doesn't want anything to do with idols. So my blue sheep, like, that's an idol technically. And so if I say, I swear I'm going to make a video about God's Not Dead 4, and I swear it by my blue sheep, then I've broken this commandment, and I probably should be stoned to death at the edge of town. Now, I personally don't want to be stoned to death at the edge of town, but the creator of the entire universe said that you should do that. So, what are we supposed to do there? Anyways, so yeah, and it goes on and on and on and on and on and on and on. Don't tattoo your skin, and on and on and on. Don't have the king write a second Torah scroll. I guess somebody else could, though. I don't know. Don't to perform self-denial and to rest from exertion on Yom Kippur. Yeah. Now this one's cool because they've got all sorts of ways around this one, like modern day Jews, like have little timers that they can set and stuff. Anyways, what's the last one? Let's just get to the last one. Oh my word. You forget how big a number 613 is. And it's like, that's a lot of commandments. I mean, yeah, it's a lot. It's a whole lot. And the point of all of this is you can't possibly hope to follow all of them. That's the point of it. It's like you can't possibly follow them. But they try to anyways. The Jewish people do, But why do Christians make a big deal of the top 10 commandments? Like, what about all these other ones? Anyways, not to retain her for servitude after having relations with her. Okay? Not to sell her into slavery. Carry out the laws of captive women. Not to panic and retreat during battle. What are you talking about here? Oh, well, I'm sure it's important. Whatever. Anyways, so going back to the refute of the first commandment, like, forget about that. Just refute all the other commandments, because they're look how cluttered and clumsy this is. Okay? If you believe that the creator of everything, like, didn't, it depends what theology you're under or what doctrine you're under. Like, do you think that God inspired somebody to write this down, told someone about these laws, and then that person told somebody to write them down or whatever? Like, how that happened depends on, like, belief, because it doesn't spell out how it went down. As far as I know, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Bible doesn't, like, say, okay, God said here's these commandments, write them down. Oh, they did do that with, like, the dude that went up to do the 10 commandments. Those, yeah, but the other ones we don't know, like how that was communicated. But that God wouldn't have a more effective methodology of communicating these commandments to people and making them clear and concise and coherent. How many there are about idols? Just don't 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 do anything with idols. Like, you didn't even need that. You said just worship you. Like, that already means there's nothing to do with idols at all, because I'm worshiping you. I'm not going to worship anything else then. I'm not going to make an idol. Why would I when I'm worshiping you? It's like, I'm not an idol. Don't make a statue of me or something like that. There's so many more ways you can make this clear if you are a logical, intelligent being. However, if we think that somebody made these commandments, or a group of somebody's made these commandments, that the people came up with these commandments, and that over time they evolved and they were maybe responses to things going on at the moment, then it makes a lot more sense why these commandments are repetitive and so incoherent. That humans made these laws and it had nothing to do with God at all seems far more plausible than them coming from God. So your straw man of the atheist refuting the first commandment, who cares? There's all these other commandments that are way easier to refute. But yeah, why would God need or want you to only recognize itself as the only God? Wouldn't it be obvious that it's the only God? Wouldn't it be obvious that those other gods are false? Why would this ever need to be encoded as a commandment? Now, he says in the video, he says that worshiping other gods, or worshiping the wrong thing can lead to disastrous consequences. And as I said, there's no guarantee. It's like, it depends whose side you're on, right? If you're in the city that's worshiping the idols, from your perspective, there's nothing wrong with that. But here come the Jewish people, because, well, before they were Christians, I mean, not all Jewish people converted to Christianity, so you have to, But anyways, the Jewish people are coming in to destroy the city because they think that their God told them to. Now, you just imagine, picture yourself in this city. You've been born there. You've lived your entire life there. You're a young man or a woman. Teenager years, whatever that would be back in those days. I don't know, since people live to maybe 30, 40, something like that. Maybe it's like 12, 16 for teenager. I don't know. But anyways, you're a young person and you're studying how to work metal and you're really excited about it. And, you've got a girl or a boy that's caught your eye, and you're pretty sure the matchmaker is going to hook you up with them or whatever. And then it's like, what is all that? There's all this sound outside, like, whatever. This is somebody. Oh my word! There's an army coming. What? Battle stations. Wait, what? Get her, grab anything. They're coming. They're coming. The Jews are coming. And the city is destroyed because it practiced idol worship. And you're probably killed. So, I mean, that's the end of that. But maybe you escape. Let's say you escape because, there's a more exciting story. You escape and you're watching this happen. You're like, oh my word. Do you really think that from your perspective, you think that those guys are in the right and that you're in the wrong? They came and destroyed your city. You had done nothing to them. The only thing you guys had done was worship idols. You left them alone. You didn't do anything to them. But God, the maker of the universe, said, that city, it's got to go because they worship idols. Don't try to convince them about not worshiping idols. Don't talk to them about why that's wrong. Don't tell them that this God is real. Don't try to negotiate. No, just destroy the city. Wow. Pardon me. So that is far more brutal than anything else. And that God's like, don't worship other gods. If you do, I'm gonna blow up that city. Because now, if what he said is true, that worshiping those other gods leads to bad consequences, like worshiping the wrong thing leads to bad consequences. Well, yeah, because worshiping the idols led to the bad consequences of the Jewish people coming and destroying your city if they found out about it. But that's because they thought God told them to do that. So it doesn't seem like God's doing that. It seems like the people are doing that because they think God has told them to do that. And the moment that you have the idol worshiping city go, hey, wait a minute, our God told us to go kill the Jewish people, then it's like, oh no, they're in the wrong because they are the enemy. They are the bad people. So you have Sodom and Gomorrah, right? And what's going on? All these terrible sexual acts are going on, and they're doing this and they're doing that, and all these terrible, horrible things are going on in the city. So it has to be destroyed, and it's just obliterated by God, right? God didn't try to negotiate or talk to the people or explain to them what was going on. Didn't visit with each and every one of them. No, just destroy them. That's it, because that is the might makes right mentality that is over and over again exemplified in all of these commandments. Well, not all of the commandments. Pardon me. A lot of the might makes right. Don't worship other idols. Don't worship other gods. This is it. Obey this God in this way, and do what I want. And don't listen to those false prophets, even though you're not allowed to test the prophet. So only listen to the one prophet, whoever that is. And so how do you know? And so you're not to question things. What I would love to see from this guy Redpad Logic is actual logic, and not just rebuttaling yourself. Like,
for more.
why can't you rebuttal like one of us, like actually? And rather than just rebuttaling, why not just have a skeptic or an atheist on and talk to them and let them ask you questions, you ask them questions, or whatever. It's just an idea. Anyways, so the 613 commandments are much easier to refute than just a single commandment. If this being was perfect and, why would it need to command? That's another thing. Why wouldn't it be, here's why you should do this rather than you have to do this? Like, there's a very big difference in don't touch that hot stove because I told you to versus don't touch that hot stove because the heat will burn you and that will hurt you. There's a huge difference there between authoritarianism and actual loving care. Like, I'm telling you what the consequences will be if you do the thing. You do it if you want, and you'll find out that I was right. The other one is like, do it. Why? Because I said so. That's not good enough reason. It's not critical thinking. It's not logical thinking. It's, I'm in charge, therefore you do what I tell you to do because I'm in charge. It's not a reason. It's just authoritarian. So those 613 commandments actually kind of go to show that those commandments were more likely written by people thinking that that's what God wanted, or this is how to live, this is how to worship this God, not actually God telling them to do anything. Because if there was a God and it was logical and rational, then these would not be the commandments it would have. And in fact, I don't think it would have commandments. I think it would explain things like, here's how things work. And maybe it wouldn't even care if you did worship it or not. Maybe it would tell you, don't even bother worshiping. Maybe there's something better you can do with your time and energy than that. Because why would God need a starship? Or in this case, why would God need worship? All right. Okay. You guys are going crazy in chat. All right. Yeah, I don't even know. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. All right. Oh yeah, and then Johnny had responded to this guy last night. So check out Johnny's video. I'll leave a link to that in the description, and then I'll leave a link to the webpage that I was on that showed all the killings of God. That's all I got for you for now. And thanks for watching. And hopefully I can find something worthwhile responding to. I don't know. You know. All right.